Boards and booze, booze and boards, drinks and beers, fight some hordes. Drank too much, forgot our swords, ran back home, filled our gourds, got drunk again, sang some chords. Boards and booze and boards, with Mickey and Jeb.
I got plenty of light on me.
They probably don't want to see you, Jeb.
Oh.
There you go. Ew.
Oh, gee. On that note, hey, I'm Mickey. I'm not Mickey.
You're not Mickey.
I'm Jeb. It's Mickey. What are we playing today?
We're Booze and Boards.
Booze and Boards with Mickey and Jeb. It's been so long since we've done this that I have forgotten everything.
It's been a long time since we got an intro video for you,
Yep.
for you guys or a new game. We've been Gloomhaven crazy, which we still are, but we actually are bringing a pretty brand new Kickstarter. It's only
Yeah,
been
you
out
just got
for-
this, what, like a month ago?
It's been a month already.
Like that?
Yeah, at most it's been a month. So without further ado, today we have the Island of El Dorado, which you probably can't see anything on this camera. I don't know. We're looking in a very tiny monitor, but it is really hard to see anyways because the name of the game is in really light, like gold. Stop it.
See, now they can see it.
Oh, okay. Well, it's in gold lettering and it's very thin, so it's not very bold, but it looks pretty cool on the box. It makes it look like really sophisticated.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the name of the game. It's 2 to 4 players. It's about 20 minutes per player. That's probably on the high end too. I feel like the game plays pretty quick.
Yeah.
I don't think that game that we played took
No,
an hour.
I think it was about 40 minutes for 3 people.
So that's probably about right. Maybe quicker if you, if you get the game real quick.
Right.
Which it wasn't. It's not very complicated in terms of picking up how the mechanics work, and
Ages 14 and up, which reading that, I feel like that younger people can definitely play this game. It's not that difficult.
Yep.
The only thing that I can think of are the people, the abilities of the people, and as long as you explain that to a kid, then they'll know what to do.
Yeah, I don't know why it's 14 and up either. There's basically no reading.
Right.
So basic goal of the game is explore the island and get control of 4 shrines.
Yep.
Okay. If you've been looking around maybe Facebook or whatever and you've seen this, you've probably seen a bunch of comments that describe it as a Catan with fighting, or Catan. I don't know however you want to pronounce it, but I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad description of it because it has similarities, but I don't feel it. I don't feel like the game feels like Catan when I play.
Right.
But I understand, and you probably will too after you see the video, why that came out as the description of people trying to give you an idea of kind of what it's like. Anyhow, this is the first edition.
Mickey's proud of it, so he's going to show it off.
And honestly, on the box here, it doesn't have. It doesn't have the creators. I don't know if it's in the book here real quick. Game design is Daniel Aronson, and game development is Michael Howard and Nick Tompkins. So, I guess unless Jeb has anything else to say, we will jump into components and stuff.
If you're not going to watch any of the other videos for this, I want to say check out our video on Heldentoff because it's very similar and you might like that. It's just a note, I guess. So we'll talk more about it in our review.
Yeah, but that's actually one of the first games that came to mind when we started playing this. And if you watched that video, like Jeb said, you'll see why we give it that comparison.
Right.
So anyways, we'll be back in a minute with components.
Yep. Alright, so we are going to go over the components of the Island of El Dorado. There's not a ton.
Nope.
There's not nothing either.
Right.
But we'll go through them pretty quick because there's not too much to it. So let's start with the Explorers, because that's who you play as.
Right, so you have 5 different Explorer cards. They're double-sided. And by double-sided, I mean it's a different Explorer on each side. But depending on who you take is what color you're going to get, because the outside border is what you take. So, for example, the green one is Tizok the Gatherer or Emma the Cartographer.
So those two will never be on the board at the
same time. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Thank you, Jeb. They gave nice little bags to keep all the components in for whoever you're playing. Notice it's a green string, and it's also written, the 2 different Explorers is written right on it. Just to give you an idea of what's here. Let's put these out, and this is what you get. We have 2 different Explorers, so you pick the one. So obviously this is Tizok, because he's like an Indian looking guy, and this is a lady with a book. So you would just take the one, whichever side you were playing, put the other one back in the bag, right?
It's easier.
And you get 1 fortress, 2 farms, and Jeb's laughing, but I'm doing this on purpose to make him flip them over.
I know he is.
Wait, and these are your villagers. And these are your offerings for the shrines. Look, I did 1 set for you, Jeb.
Thank you.
Alright? So again, Explorers, farms, fortresses, villagers, and offerings. And your card. So that's it for those. Not a ton of pieces. I'm going to put these back in the bag so we have room to show you the other stuff.
What do the Explorers walk around on, Mickey?
Tiles.
Yep. So let's talk about tiles.
Alright, so you have 2 different sets of tiles, okay? So this big, large set all have, if you can see it right here, El Dorado. Those are the island tiles. This tinier pile here says the cave. So very easy to separate the tiles between the cave section, which you'll find out about when we go over how to play, and the island section. So for your island section tiles, you have 4 main tiles. This. Okay, so this is your food depiction, this is your gold depiction resource, and this is your wood resource. So while we're talking about these, they have cards that represent those resources, okay? And this is water. Okay, a couple special tiles. There's a garden tile that represents any of the resources. There is a shrine tile. It's a little sparkly around the edges when you get one. The pictures of the shrines are all different.
Yeah.
So this is just one example. So don't expect, like, this is the only picture of that castle that you'll see for a shrine. Okay? And last but not least is the cave entrance, I believe, tile is what it's called. And that's it for tiles.
That's everything for El Dorado.
Yep.
And then for the cave, I guess the main thing about the cave is the cave entrance, which is double-sided.
Actually, that thing's called the exit.
The exit, correct. Sorry.
It's okay.
And it has 4 little X's around it. I don't think you can see it that well, but they're there. And then in the cave, there is 1 shrine that's floating around, and it has the gold border like the other 3 shrines. And then on the inside, there's random things like people to fight, blank spaces, resources, and that's about it.
Lots of blank spaces and enemies and stuff. Okay, so just to mention real quick, you have cards that represent the resources. Like I mentioned when I showed the resource tiles, these obviously will go to your hand, and that's how you acquire resources. and then to represent the shrines. So this actually, I feel like, wasn't 100% necessary, but let me tell you, when it's on the board, it makes it so convenient because it pops out and you know exactly where the stuff is. Could you play the game with just these? Absolutely. Having that on the board, it makes it so nice. So nice. And not just because these things are really hefty and cool, it's very helpful during gameplay. Okay? So, last but not least are the die. We have 2 sets of die. 2 gold, normal D6, 1 through 6 on each die, or all the sides, whatever, however you want to say that. And then you have battle die. Alright, so these are black and they have blanks, 1s, and 2s. 50-50 on all of them. So 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 blanks. Okay, so this is what these are what you're going to use to battle with. And that brings us to the end of components, Jeb.
Yep, that was everything.
Okay, we are back to show you the setup and gameplay, or mechanics, whichever you'd like to call it, of the Island of El Dorado.
Right, so I've got the list, so I will check it twice, right?
Nice.
Alright, so first thing you want to do for setup is set aside the 3 shrine pieces and the black dice. So we've got them set aside. Next, you're going to separate the resource cards and place them face up in front of everyone.
Wood, gold, food.
And I feel like when we play, they don't really get mixed or anything, so if your group is clean, then you don't have to worry about that part much. Next, you are going to give a random explorer card to each player, and then the wood color or the wood pieces that go with them. I mean, you can do it random, but if you guys like certain people, then you can pick them. It's up to your group or whatever. So
I took Jeb's pirate.
Oh. All right.
So like we mentioned in the components, the border matches the color. So I got a brown border. I grab the brown bag. I dump out my components. Pick the explorer that I want. Let's see. I got pirate guy and Stella the adventurer. And I'll insult Jeb a little bit by picking Stella instead of the pirate.
And then the one that...
Yeah, you don't use, put them back in the bag.
So I'll pick Tizak and put the lady back in the bag.
So I would have all my components, Jeb would all his.
Alright, next you are going to separate the El Dorado tiles and cave tiles, which we've got the stack of cave tiles here.
El Dorado tiles here?
Yep. So they're separated. Then you are going to set aside the cave exit, shuffle the cave tiles, and place the exit on top. So there's the exit. Here's the cave tiles. Give it a quick shuffle since I shuffled it before. Set this down, and then just place this on top and put it to the side because it won't come into play until the cave appears.
Right.
Then you are going to select a random tile to start on, and it cannot be water or shrine. So flip the top. Oh, wow.
Oh, shrine.
So you can't start it there. So flip the next.
And some woods. So this gets shuffled back in.
Yep. And then once it's shuffled, place it off to the side. And then place all the explorers on the starting tile.
Well, we will be playing a 3-player game, but for setup, we're just going to show you, Jeb and I setting up. And this will be enough to show you the mechanics also.
Next, each player gets 1 wood, 1 gold, and 1 food resource.
These are a hand of cards, so
yes.
You can keep them in your hand so that your opponent doesn't see them, face down on the table so they don't see them. And the reason why it can be important that they don't know is for strategic purposes. If you have known information for your opponent, then strategically you might know where to go on the board or what to block or whatever. There is also some stealing and random getting rid of cards and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you don't want people to know most of the time.
And then last, everybody's going to roll the 1 gold die each to determine the starting player.
Beat that 2, Jeb.
I doubled it.
Yeah.
So when the starting player is picked, the turn order will go clockwise.
Right.
So that is it for setup. So that's pretty quick setup for this
And
game.
if multiple people, in case of a tie, you just re-roll until somebody wins. Then just go clockwise.
Yep.
And that is, you're set up and ready to play.
Yep.
That's it. So I think we could just jump right into gameplay.
Okay. I got a little quick overview blurb that the book gives as well. So the gameplay is clockwise turn order until the game ends. There's 3 shrines in the El Dorado tiles and 1 shrine in the cave tiles. Alright, each explorer starts with a strength of 1, and every time they take control of a shrine, they gain an extra strength. And the shrine in the cave is actually a +2 strength. There are villagers, explorers, and forts that will occupy tiles, and players can trade with each other, or they could trade 5 to 1 to the bank to get whatever resource. So that was the quick blurb that they gave before everything. So let's.
And a lot of that probably didn't make.
Yeah.
Well, some of that didn't make sense, and we're going to show you. And just as an aside, where Jeb talked about the players trading, I don't think that ever happened with us.
Nope.
And I don't know. I don't know what you could offer somebody to help them out in this game, honestly.
If somebody's running away with the game, then I'd be more liable to trade with the other person to
help them catch up.
Yeah.
Other than that, that particular mechanic, I don't think you're going to see a heavy use of.
And I don't think it actually said if like the explorers have to be on the same tile to trade, or if you can just be like, hey, let's trade.
I don't recall that.
Let's talk about a turn, so you can actually see how the game is played. All right, so on your turn, there are 3 things that you do. It's roll, gather, and explore. Oh, it's actually on your character person as well.
Right on the bottom.
So, roll phase. What do you do, Mickey?
I grab the 2 gold die and I roll them.
That was pretty easy. You are going to choose one of them for your explorer's speed and the other for their gathering ability.
I am going to choose the 6 for my move speed or explorer speed, whatever Jeb just said, and the 4 for my gather.
Alright, so that was the roll phase, pretty simple. So next is the gather phase, and that uses the gather die that you just rolled. So what you are going to do is gather a number of resources equal to the number on the die that you chose to gather. And the resources that you can get are ones that your explorer is on, or
that you have a farmhouse with an adjacent villager.
yes.
At this point, on your very first turn in the game, or at least the very first person, actually, after that, it won't change either. So your very first turn in the game, everybody's getting whatever the initial tile was.
Yep.
Alright, so in this case, I chose 4 for my gather, so I would get 4 of the wood cards, and they just go right into my hand. Okay.
And that is the gather phase.
That's the gather phase.
The next part is the explore phase.
Explore,
Yes.
but I keep calling it move.
Right. In the explore phase, you can do 3 things. You can move, you can buy, or you can attack. So, let's talk about movement first.
Right. And with that being said, you can do those in any order as many times as you want.
Yes.
Okay? So, moving. I pick someplace around the hex that I'm in, and I say I'm going to go here. And I flip a tile. And I connect the edge, and then I move my explorer in. Okay. Oh, I was going to go into it. All right. All right. After that very first placement, after that, when you move, you must be able to connect the tile on 2 edges. So at this point, I can go here, 2 edges, or I can go here, 2 edges. You cannot keep drawing a straight line. Hex, 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 like this. Not allowed. Alright?
Yeah, this is an island, not a strip mall.
Right. Okay, so let's see, I have 6, so that was 1. 2. Alright,
Ooh, that's a
excellent.
good example.
Good example. This is water. You can't move into water.
Right.
It's like an ocean. You're on an island. So what happens is I spent the move point for the explore, but I hit water, so my piece just stays where it is.
Right.
Right? So that was 2. So let's go here for 3. And you got some food. Go here for 4. Let's go here for 5. And let's go here for 6. Okay.
As you saw with the water, the shrine tiles, when they get flipped, it's the exact same way where you don't move onto a shrine tile. It stops your, I guess you stay where you're at, but it populates the shrine tile. And then you place the big shrine onto the shrine tile. Another thing that the rulebook says is you cannot build over the edge of the table. And I don't know how most people play, but I mean, when we play games, we kind of usually account for that. But if we were playing and we just kept building up and we hit the edge of the table, you're not allowed to build further. But other than that, it's move up to the number that you rolled on your die.
So, which I did. Alright, so that would have been just, that's an example of moving. However, at any point while I was moving, I could have said, oh, I want to build a building. So, probably with, well, that's not bad either. Alright, so where I am right now, I'm going to say that I want to build a farmhouse. So I look at my cheat sheet here on my card, and it says a farmhouse costs me 1 wood and 1 gold. Okay, so I have a wood, I have a gold, I will cash that in, put them back on the pile, and I pick any corner that on my tile that's not already occupied by a building.
On your Explorer's tile.
My Explorer's tile. And I will do this one, because why would I do this one? And a corner is the literally the corner
Where all three intersect.
Right, where all 3 intersect.
So if Mickey wanted to, he could build it here, because even though there's not a third tile, it's still the corner and covers the 2 that are showing. And when the third's built, it would cover that.
Exactly. Why I picked this is because now I potentially have access to a wood tile and a gold tile. So I think what I want to do is I will also build a villager, or lure a villager in. I guess I can't. I'm not God. So to do that, I spend the food, and then I get to bring out my guys. And because Jeb's standing there, I cannot put the villager, because it has to be
Adjacent to
a building, but has to be unoccupied from an opponent.
Yep.
Can be your own, obviously. So I'm going to put it with my guy. Hopefully that'll deter Jeb from moving in and attacking me, because I would be slightly stronger than him at this point in the game.
And one quick thing, when Mickey did the movement, he was exploring new tiles. Villagers cannot do that.
Right. Only your explorer moves around the island.
Right.
Okay? Now remember, I could have, so I started here and I went 1, then I went 2,
Yep.
and then I went 3. I could have been like, ooh, I got 2 different things here. I could have stopped right there, built the farm, and then continued my explore action. So I just happened, just because for explanation purposes, I did all my exploring, and then I stopped to show you how to buy a couple of things. Everybody's, as far as I know, all the cards are the same for the cost of the buildings and the villagers and all that. So whatever resources you need to build them you can find right on your Explorer card. Over on the side here it tells you, and it also tells you what they do. Okay, we'll get into a little bit more of the details on how all this stuff works in just a minute.
You want to talk about other things that they can buy?
So you can buy a fortress. It gets placed the same as a farm. You pick a corner and you put it in the corner with the same rules as before. Actually, am I allowed to put it in this one?
For the fort, it says...
No, for this guy, the farmhouse. Since you're standing there.
Place on one corner of the tile your Explorer is on. I don't think it's restricted by that. But the fort is place on one corner of the tile your Explorer is on. It cannot be built if any of the 3 tiles has an opponent villager or fort.
Right, and that's because, which we'll get into later also, this is passive, this is defensive, and it makes a difference.
And then another thing you can buy is an offering.
Okay, we're going to fast forward. Alright, if somebody has found a shrine, that's what it would look like. And the last thing you can purchase is an offering for the shrine. That costs you 2 of every resource, and then you take your little offering guy and you put it on the shrine. We always play the first person that gets to put it on the very top. But you just put it on the shrine tile, and now you have control of that shrine. It's a little weird in terms of how they use control, because once you put a shrine there, you have control of that shrine, and yes, everybody can put because the object is to get all 4 of them. Yep. So basically all you have to do is come over, make the donation, you put your offering down, and then you have control of that shrine also.
Yep. The one restriction is that your Explorer must be adjacent to the shrine to be able to buy the offering.
Can't do that from over here.
And I think the last thing that you can buy that we haven't talked about is army movement.
True, that is a purchase. Okay. Army movement. Let's just say I have some guys around the board.
So an army is defined as a group of 1 to 5 villagers. So right now Mickey has 3 armies on the board.
Right. So, I'm going to take some extras here. Moving an army costs 1 gold. So 1 gold will give me 1 movement of a villager.
Of an army.
Of an army. Another one gives me another movement. Oh, look, I moved all the way to that guy. Okay? Then I can do the same with him. However, if I go like this, pay for a movement, army moves over here. Now I have an army of 2. For the same price, I can move them as a group. And move them again as a group.
And now he has an army that's 3 villagers.
Now I have an army that's 3 that I could continue to move around the board if I wanted to. So, while we're talking about armies, let's talk about strength, because that comes into play. I think Jeb stated it earlier. When the game starts, with the exception of one of the explorers, your explorer starts at 1 strength. So it's just an inherent. You start with 1. If you control a shrine, and every shrine afterwards, you go up 1 strength. With the exception of the cave shrine, that actually gives you plus 2 strength.
And it notes it on the tiles.
And it does note it on the tile. A couple other things to remember. Each of these guys, if they're part of an army or with your explorer on the same tile, however you want to say it, is worth 1 strength. They're worth this strength in terms of a battle. So if there was a battle right here, and these guys were still over here, I don't get their strength. It's not if they're on the board, it's where...
Everything on a tile.
Everything on a
Battles
tile.
take place on a tile, and
right.
then you calculate the strength on that tile.
So the only thing that adds strength that's not on the tile is a shrine. If that makes sense to somebody. Okay, so these inherently add your strength. It's like, ooh, I'm a greater explorer. I'm tougher now. Whatever. The farmhouse adds a strength to this little group here. If I was with the fortress, it would add 1 strength.
And the key thing is, on your Explorer card, it has next to each of the things how much strength they have, so it's a good reminder.
Right. Okay? So, if that still isn't making any sense, let's give a couple examples. Let's give an example of how this is right this second. I have this tile right here we're going to look at. I have my Explorer. He's a 1. I own a shrine. That's strength 2. 1, 2, 3 villagers are on there. That's 3 more, so that's 5. And there's a farmhouse. That's a 6 strength. And all that means is, during battle, how many dice I get to roll.
Right.
So I would roll 6 in this case. If I was over here, I'd still get the shrine, my 1, and 1 from here. So just moving over here cut me in half.
And now also, that other tile Mickey was on, that army still has strength, but it's only, what, 4? Because of the 3 villagers and
the farmhouse.
That the offering to the shrine only adds
to the Explorer.
The next thing we are going to talk about are attacks.
Right.
So
we populated the board a little bit here so we can try to, hopefully we can be clear on how this works. You might need to watch it a couple times or just get out and play it, but this is basically how the attack mechanism works in this game.
And one rule is that nobody can attack until everybody has 1 turn done.
And yes, it can initiate multiple attacks, and in that case, the person that initiated the first attack goes first.
Alright, so let's say it's my turn and I have some movement that I want to use. So the first thing I can do, say I spend a movement to go here. Mickey, can I make an attack?
You can.
Okay, why is that?
Okay, so my farmhouse is in this corner. He is allowed to declare an attack if he wants to. Here's where the difference between passive and defensive comes into play. The farmhouse is passive, so Jeb can just continue to walk through, not end his turn, which would happen in other cases, or he can stop and say, yes, I want to attack Mickey's farmhouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's one scenario.
Alright, so I move the 1 and I decide to burn down Mickey's farmhouse. Let's see if I can do it. So I make the attack. So what we're going to do is compare our strengths. So, or I guess you calculate your strengths.
Actually, first we both have an opportunity to move armies if we want to.
Right.
But we're not going to.
Right. This is the simplest case possible.
Right.
So I have a strength of 1 because it's just my Explorer, and Mickey has a strength of 1 because it's just his farmhouse. So we both get 1 battle die, and then we will roll our battle dice. I got a 0.
I got a 2.
Alright, so you compare. Whoever has the highest total is the winner. And the loser
gets wiped out.
Yes.
It's literally pretty much what happens. So whatever took place on this tile, the loser takes all their components off this tile. So in this case, Jeb was fighting with his Explorer. So a couple things different happen when the Explorer is actually involved in the battle, which Jeb's going to go over in just a second. However, if he had won, I would just take this right off the board, put it back in my inventory, and I could build it again later. So Jeb, what happens if an Explorer gets defeated in battle?
When an Explorer is defeated, the winner places the loser on an unoccupied tile next to a shrine that the defeated Explorer has control of. And if that's not possible, then the winner can place them anywhere they want on the board.
Okay. So,
also, the defeated player takes half of their resource cards and gives it to the winner.
They get to choose what resources they give, but they have to give half. I can't remember if it's rounded up or down.
Rounded down.
Rounded down. Okay. So in this case, if we look at, this is the only shrine on the board. Jeb does not have control on it, so I can put him on anywhere on the board that I want. I'm gonna, like, since he doesn't have control on this, I'm going to put him all the way over here because it's unoccupied and it's as far away from this, and I want to make it harder for him to make an offering. So that's my strategy there. However, if he did have an offering here, he'd basically stay right where he was for the most part. I could put him here because yes, because it's close to, and that's your guy.
Yeah, it's my turn.
So. That would be fine.
One key thing is, since it's my turn and I got defeated, my turn is over, so I don't get to do anything else.
Right.
That was pretty much the simplest case where it's just one die versus one die. So let's get a little bit more complicated and say, I think I can take out Mickey's guy and his farmhouse.
Okay.
Even though I had bad luck rolling.
Now, since he moved into a hex with a villager, that's going to trigger a battle.
Yes. When I moved into the one with the farmhouse, it was my decision. But since it's an army that I moved into, it auto starts a fight.
Right.
So before the fight, everybody is allowed to move armies. I have 1 gold in my hand, so I can pay a gold, and that would let me move this army of 1 into that space. So now I'm a little bit stronger.
I have 1 gold in my hand too, and I put it over here. Hey, Jeb got to build all kinds of stuff with no resources. What? Anyways, let's pretend I spent a gold and moved a guy in also.
Oh, but Mickey, you also have 2 more gold in your hand. What else could you do?
I had 2 more in my hand?
Yep.
Well, then I wouldn't have done it that way. I would have gone 1 and then I'd still have a gold in my hand.
Yep.
All right, so if I had 3 gold in my hand, this is what I would have done. For 1 gold, moved here, and then for the 2nd gold, moved both of those in.
So he can move as much as he wants as long as he has gold to pay for it. And the same thing works with me.
How come I didn't move my explorer? He's so close. Why did I move him into battle?
Because you cannot use gold to move your explorer. It says army movement is paid for with 1 gold.
Very good. So yes, I can't bring... Unfortunately, my explorer will not be part of this battle, so I will not get the bonus from his shrine strength.
Right.
So, I'm going to count up my strength for you guys. 1, 2, 3, plus farmhouse, 4. So I gather 4 die.
And my strength is 1 for my explorer, 1 for my villager, 1 for my farmhouse. I need to learn to do better math when attacking. So we gathered our die. We're going to roll. I got 3.
Oh, I got 3. We get to show a tie.
Ooh. All right. So when a tie happens, all explorers and villagers who moved this turn return to the prior tile, and the attacker turns ends.
So I guess because that would be the last tile they moved from, right?
Yep, and my guy would go back. So in a tie, nobody dies, but everybody gets kind of pushed back. And since it's my turn and I did the attack, my turn ends. So that's kind of unfortunate for me.
Let's go back to...
I was going to say...
Let's put everything back like it was. And let's... Jeb... That dice happened to flip. Oh my goodness.
It was
Jeb crushed me in the battle.
Yep.
Alright? We've said it before, so now you're going to see it. So let's pretend in that battle right there, on Jeb's 3 die, he rolled a 5. I had 4 die, I rolled a 3, I lost. Farmhouse comes off, all of my villagers come off. I have to re-bring them back out onto the board.
And one of the key things is, I defeated Mickey in this battle, but I did not defeat his explorer, so he does not give me any resources.
Right.
All that happens are the
Stuff gets
villagers and farmhouses get wiped out. So, since I won and it's still my turn, let's say I decide to move again. And I will move into this spot.
You still have gold left in your hand, Jeb?
Yeah. So, I move into that spot, and I've got a gold to move my guy in. So
Moves his army in, and the battle commences. I have 1 for that, 1 for the shrine I control, 1 for the fortress.
I have 1, 2. I still do not know how to do math.
Alright, so 3 against 2.
I got a 3.
I got a 3. So Jeb would just push everybody back.
I guess I was supposed to move the explorer back the last time. And then since we tied and I was the person attacking, my turn ends. So that kind of stunk.
Alright.
And then one other thing I guess we should say, I'm not going to go through a ton of it, but this fort actually controls all 3 of these tiles. So if I had moved...
In terms of what tiles it affects, it's just like the farmhouse. The big difference is it initiates an attack if you touch any one of these. Whereas the farmhouse, if I'm over here, I can walk around all the... Assuming that Jeb's over here, or over somewhere not by me. I can walk around here all day long, not on water. But get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They have the same function in terms of this. They cover a 3-tile range. However, this keeps people from walking through spaces for free, so to speak, because it's going to initiate attack. So that's where the fortress is can end up being a little bit irritating in terms of getting around the island. Because if somebody's got their fortress there, you're either and you know, I mean, if your strength is like a 5 and there's only a fortress, you're probably going to walk in there anyways, figuring odds are I'm not going to roll a 0 on every die, but don't get too cocky because it can happen. But anyways, that's the point of the difference between how the fortress works and how the farm works. So it's explained a bit in the rule books in terms of this is a passive building, this is a defensive building. So if I walk into a space with a villager / army, or a hex that has a fortress, or a hex that has the explorer, a battle is initiated. If I walk into a space with just a farmhouse, it is my decision if I want to engage in a battle.
Right. I think that covers everything.
I think so.
So let's say instead of moving into this spot, I decide to move up 1 and explore. So Mickey, could you flip the top tile for me?
Oh, Jeb found a cave. Jeb found a cave. Jeb found a cave.
All right. How'd that happen? I don't know.
Because you stacked the deck.
All right. So the cave, that's the entrance, right?
Yeah.
When that's found, what you are going to do is take the cave exit tile and place it somewhere not connected to here. So let's say we'll put it here.
It's weird how they word this entrance and exit thing, but whatever. Just know that this is the tile that goes on the top of that and what you're going to build off of.
Yep. So if I had a 6 and I spent 1, 2 to get there, I have to spend 1 movement to go from there to there. So I have 3 movement left. So I will explore again. And there are 4 X's that I can't explore on, right?
Right. So after he gets to this tile, exploring works exactly the same way, except there are tiny white X's on 1, 2, 3, 4 of these sides. So you can only start the cave from 2 spots. You can't start the cave from any of those X's. Nor can you come around backwards and hit it on there. So it's basically forcing you to kind of get the cave going in a certain direction and making sure that it actually goes out, making it...
Cave-like.
Yeah, cave-like. It's making it... Yeah, so you can't make the circle like this. Right. It's making you kind of tunnel. All right?
So I have 3 movement left, so I'm going to use one of them. And this time, I'm going to declare this, but I do not pull from that tile. I pull from the...
Cave tile.
This actually says El Dorado on it. We didn't shuffle that correct.
Good job, Jeb.
So I will grab one from the cave tile and flip it. And look at that. It's big old nothing. So that's my 4th movement. 5th, I'll move up there.
Here?
Yep.
Yep.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, Jeb got bad guys.
Those are the pirates.
The thieves.
Or thieves, yeah. And there is a rule in the rule book that says the thieves have a treasure that they protect. And that treasure consists of what, Mickey?
2 of each of the resources.
So, when they're pulled, they say to put this nearby as a reminder that they have a treasure. And since I ran into them, how does this work?
Oh, it depends if you have any gold left in your hand.
I do not.
Alright, so Jeb is, I guess he's on there,
Yep.
technically. And the thieves are strength 3, so I get to be the thieves. Jeb is a strength 1, so it's going to be a 3-to-1 battle.
Oh no, Mickey, I actually had put a shrine there. Or an
Oh,
offering.
Jeb cheated and put a shrine. Hey!
So I have 2 strength.
I rolled a 4, you rolled a 1.
Ooh, that's
The
awesome.
thieves kicked his butt, so they go like that to him.
Yep.
No, actually, honestly, since the opposite person controls
The person to the left controls.
yeah, well, the
But yeah.
opposite isn't right, only because there's 2 players.
Yeah.
So I get to do exactly like before, and this would be a shrine that he controls. So I would put him back there. Why would I not put him here with his guy? Well, because it puts him closer to the cave entrance, and I know he's interested in going back there. So I'll at least make him move a little further.
And a couple other things happen. So since I got defeated by a cave dweller, half of the resources in my hand get put back into the bank, except for the thieves. This is the exception where if you lose to them, the half that you would put back in the bank actually go into their treasure. So I lost one thing.
So whoever beats them is going to get even more?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I didn't even know that rule. I don't remember reading it anyways.
And then
That's
the
awesome.
other thing is you shuffle that tile back into the deck.
So this kind of stays out
Yes, to
as
the
a
side.
treasure to
Yeah.
the side, and this gets shuffled back in so you don't know where they are.
Yep. So that happens with all the cave dwellers, is that if they defeat you, or if they defeat your explorer, they get shuffled back into the deck. Let's say I had a little better luck next time and I was down here and I decided to explore that next space, and I get... Oh. I stacked it wrong. That's embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. This guy.
I get... Oh, look at that.
Alright. There is the big old cave shrine that everybody wants.
So, since I found it, I actually move on to it first.
Alright.
So, I don't own it yet. I have to spend a movement to get off of it. And if you could so kindly move me back to
Nah,
that.
he ran out of moves. He's got to wait till next turn.
Okay. On my next turn, I will
Mickey
move...
rolls a 6. 1, 2, 3,
Oh, gosh.
4, 5, 6. Mickey takes it.
I don't think
Jeb
it
gets
works
further, gets burnt down
into
there.
the abyss.
That's a good question. Technically,
You
that could
start a
happen.
fight first.
Well, I can't. You know I won,
Okay.
and then you got put back up here.
All right. So,
Never mind. We'll let Jeb have his little tile. He'll get beat anyways.
all right. So, I spend a movement to get off of the shrine.
He puts this in front of him.
Yes, this goes where my Explorer card is, and I am in control of that shrine. Only one person can ever control the cave shrine,
Yep.
and whenever your Explorer is defeated while you control the cave shrine, whoever defeats you gets the cave shrine from you.
Right.
And
So basically that's the only shrine that can be stolen in the game or controlled by somebody else.
Yes. And
So-
then I think another thing that we should talk about really quick, if I fought that cave dweller and I won, what happens is
Poop.
it
And
flips over and now it is a blank tile.
Right, now it's a dark tile just like that.
And I think that's everything.
Yep.
The winning condition is...
To control all the shrines. So, as you can see, the one in the cave is pretty important. With the stuff down in the cave, it's relatively difficult to go down there right off the bat. Plus, it depends on when this comes out. Could be, it's very situational on how that plays out. But so as the game progresses, basically you're going to keep building this island. Tiles are going to come out. People are going to move around. This thing's going to get pretty big. It ends up being pretty cool, as you can see. And a lot of times, that we notice, it can take. Look, this came out right away, and look how many tiles we've flipped before we even found the next one. And I swear we went down to like this on our very first game before we found at least all the upper shrines. So that's in a nutshell. That's all the mechanics of the game. If it really wasn't too clear, I would recommend watching like 15 minutes of our gameplay. Usually I say 5, but I'm gonna say to see at least the island getting developed a little bit, you should probably watch about 15. I don't know for sure, but you might even need to watch a little bit more if you want to see some battles take place. If you're not quite sure with those, I think after reading the rules, and if you go back and study what we just went over with you, I think the battles will become a little clearer. I feel like for Jeb and I, the stickiest part at the beginning was getting a clear grasp on how the buildings were working. We questioned the placement of the farmhouse for a little bit, just because it was like, well, wait a second, they're a passive building, what does that mean? And then it finally clicked that basically the biggest difference was when people go in. So they both do want to go on a corner, just like the book says. It's just how they operate when people move through them. And you know, the buildings are important for bringing your people out, because the rules do state they have to be adjacent to a building when they come on the board, not adjacent to your explorer. So your explorer can't over here and magically poop out a army for you. It's just not going to happen. So anyways, that's the mechanics, and hopefully that interests you enough to at least watch a little bit of the gameplay, and then if you watch the review you can see what we thought of the game.